for me, the way I see things, empire and all of the domestic issues, they're 100% intertwined. They're 100% connected, right? A lot of these issues are because the country is doing what? It's preoccupied spending money on bombs, right? You have things like the poor draft. I mean, it's not an accident that you don't have health care or you don't have good wages and, they don't give you a college education for free. That's not an accident, man. After Vietnam, they had to fucking kill the draft. And so, while other countries, you look at, for example, Austria, right? When did they get universal health care? If I'm not mistaken, again, I could be totally botching this, 1967. I think Greece is in the 1980s. The UK, for example, is just after World War II, 1947, 48. Meanwhile, all of these countries in Western Europe and all these allies of the US, they're progressing and getting their shit together and giving their populace healthcare. The US, right, is busy fighting the fucking Vietnam War. And the average age of a GI is what? They used to say it's 19. I think the correct figure is 22, like as if that's any better, or 24. That's not good. Guys in their early 20s should not be in the fucking jungle on the other side murdering people. No, go fuck yourself. So the average age of the GI is early 20s. They come back from Vietnam. What happens? Just in New York City alone. What happens in New York City? You got 40 fucking thousand Vietnam veterans registered as drug addicts in New York City alone. Now, again, I'm not saying I got something against drug addicts. No, my point is you had to, right? You had to go and register as a drug addict because that's the only way that they can give you the check. And you got to take, I don't know what they're trying to give them. I don't think it was Oxy at the time. They're trying to give methadone or some shit, some kind of substitute for the dope that they were smoking in Vietnam. So, but just to give you a number, a figure of how staggering the drug problem was. So you got these kids coming back who should not have been there in the first place. They're coming back with PTSD. They're coming back with depression. They're coming back with addiction. They're treated like fucking shit. I mean, you can see the videos of how they're making these guys line up at 5 a.m. in the fucking cold just to get a check from the VA and a pill, That's in New York City alone, man. So, I mean, Christ. And again, you're looking at this right now with the $600 check, right? They promised you $2,000, now it's $1,400. And there are a lot of people going like, how can my government fuck me like that when I'm in need? Man, look at what they did to the Vietnam veterans, for example, right? Yes, the government does not take care of its own. Nonetheless, my broader point is after the Vietnam War, I mean, people were so outraged by how veterans were being treated. The war itself, it costs so much. And again, I think it's unfair to also just talk about that in terms of what it costs the U.S. You have to look at what it costs Vietnam. Vietnam is the real victim here. Like, as much sympathy as I feel for a young guy being sent over to fight in the fucking jungle, and it's not, he shouldn't be there, and he's also suffering. The Vietnamese are the real victims here. Like, let's not forget that. But nonetheless, the war caused so much outrage that they had to abolish that. So what do you have left now? How do they get people to go into the military and continue the empire? They fuck you. They don't give you healthcare. They don't give you college education, and they also scam you, right? So again, somebody will have to correct me if I'm wrong with the figure, but if I recall, you could get $20,000 for signing up to join the military. But then it turns out it's a scam. Like they'll give it to you in two parts. I think you get half of it initially, and then the other half after a couple of years of service. And people don't read the fine print, and they fuck them. And you got poor kids just signing up like that because they want cash. They need cash because the wages are so shit. There are no jobs, right? This is how they keep it going, man. It's no accident. And so once again, I go back to my initial point. This is just one facet. Just the poor draft is one facet of how empire and the domestic problems at home are so, inextricably connected and intertwined. I mean, there's no way around it, right? And then, of course, you can just look at the fact you have a revolving door, like your new Secretary of Defense. All right, he's the first black man in the Pentagon to lead the Pentagon. Yeah, but he was sitting on the board of Raytheon, which is weapons manufacturer, until last fucking week. I mean, that don't look too promising to me. Okay, that's a conflict of interest, to say the least. So again, you have so many issues. You have ghouls from the private sector coming back to run the government, who have an incentive to profit from war. I mean, it's horrendous, right? And that's just one facet of it. So I know I went off on a tangent, but it's an important one, and I think it's really bad. And if you're surprised at how the government is treating American citizens right now, I mean, again, I go back to the example of Vietnam veterans. Like that, you got to keep in mind, these are kids. They're coming back with mental illness. They're coming back with addiction. And that's not their fault, right? That's not their fault. You can go and listen to the interviews. These are GIs that are telling you, like, yeah, I was scared shitless. I took dope to calm my nerves. Can you blame that guy? I mean, they shouldn't have been there in the first place. That's a given. But, you know, this guy's a fucking 19-year-old. I don't think he really knows better. And, you know, you're sent off. Again, you got to remember 30% of the military in Vietnam were black. So can somebody tell me what the percentage of the population in the US is black? 13%. What the fuck is that ratio? Hold on, you got 13% black population, but 30% of the troops in Vietnam are black? Why? That's There's something wrong here. And, you know, of course, you know how they fixed it? The way the government fixed it is they just got more poor white people to go and fight the war. Like, just, you know, it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, we'll fix the racism issue by just, you know, doing more class fuckery. Like, it's just so disgusting. It really is. It's really disgusting. And, you know, you can't blame those kids. You got just poor kids getting hooked on dope. That's because they were sent to combat, and they're coming back and they're being treated like shit. And they're being made to wait outside in the cold and treated like rats. You know, that's what the government did to them. And even amputees, like, you got a kid like lost his fucking leg in Vietnam. You think the government gave a shit about him? Of course not. Right? Oh, here's a purple heart. Here's another purple heart. Here's 3 purple hearts. Oh, you want to check? No, fuck that. Can't give you that. No. Here, swallow this pill and you can have a few crumbs. What the fuck? And these are people doing like 2 or 3 fucking tours in Vietnam. Like, shit. You know, it's crazy. It's crazy. And it just goes to show you how little the government takes care of its own, even the people that it's going to send into fucking battle. Like I don't know what, you know, they tell you themselves, right? Oh, there's no bigger sacrifice than going into battle and serving your country. Yeah, what, by fucking blowing up Vietnamese people in Vietnam? That's not serving your country. That's serving Raytheon and Lockheed Martin and Boeing. But nonetheless, they tell you that's the ultimate sacrifice, right? Right? Bravery, patriotism. Okay. So you would expect that, you know, if you're coming back from that, you're going to be treated with a limousine. You're going to be, you know, they're going to roll out the red carpet for you. You can get out of a Rolls Royce and they're going to hand you a suitcase full of gold. Nope. 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 I think I made my point.